Hi, everyone. This is Sterling from MTHFRsupport. I just wanted to update everybody. I've been talking a lot about NES. Wendy Myers here is the one who turned me on to NES. She saw that I was in chronic pain for quite a while and kept on contacting me, Sterling, why don't you try this NES? Finally, I tried it. And after about a week or two, I started feeling amazing, guys. Lots of anxiety from pain that I deal with, chronic pain I suffer with on a daily basis is cut in half. And I could actually show you all what I mean by chronic pain. I broke my neck about 24 years ago. Ligaments were detached in my neck. Had a carotid dissection. It is pretty bad. I mean, you can't really tell like right now, but if you go look at the side of my neck here, you will see a scar going all the way down. And that's where I was cut from my ear to my throat. And also I have a ligament here, but I don't have a ligament here. So I've been walking around like that for about 24 years. And wear and tear after about 24 years and getting older and lots of gravity has made it much worse. And now I was about to get some serious surgery done, and I've about cut my pain in half. I am doing a little aqua therapy, a little acupuncture, but what I saw most improvement with was NES. And it was amazing how this works. And I guess I should let Wendy kind of explain how it works now, but I am feeling so much better. It's been a long time since a lot of people have seen this kind of smile on my face. I actually look 20 years younger than I did. And I love it. And I love you for this, Wendy. You are a life.
Yes. Yes. Well, I'd seen a lot of your posts on Facebook where you were talking about how much pain you were in and considering surgery. And I just follow you on Facebook, and I've known you for a while, and I kept bugging you about sending you a scanner and getting you to do a scan. And I find that a lot of people, then they're in pain, they have a lot of multiple health issues and fatigue and other kinds of, trauma that they've suffered, that NES Health, it's a bioenergetic type program, can help tremendously. And we're going to review your scan in a second here. But I was also helped tremendously by it. And it's something that I now use in my practice. I really recommend it to people because it's interesting how, our bodies work, physically. We have hormones and neurotransmitters in our nervous system, and that's a way that our body communicates. But our body also has a huge communication system in our energy field. So we have an energy field, and a lot of information in communication, operating instructions to various body parts, from the brain to other parts of your body, are done within this energy field. And when you have energy blocks from heavy metals, chemicals, traumas, EMF, electromagnetic fields from wireless internet and other things, or scars, you have an interference in your body's ability to communicate. And when there's an energy block where your body can't communicate to that part of your body, be it your neck or your breast or your pancreas or whatever, there'll be a physical breakdown in function. And NES Health can help identify those blocks, and what we're going to see in Sterling's scan, and help to clear those blocks to restore communication and function. And it happens very quickly. Like, you had a lot of results within a couple of weeks.
Oh, yes. Probably about a week, I did notice. And I'd like to add, because you will probably point this out, Wendy, if you guys see the scar here on my neck, my vagus nerve is damaged. And when all this stuff started happening again, reoccurring again about a year ago, I had brought up to a doctor, because I know the left vagus nerve leads to the heart and to the gut. And I know people don't like talking about pooping too much, but it's very important thing about health. I'm not bashful about it because it's really important. Your poop is important. And
it's strictly clinical.
I know when the left vagus nerve works, and you get ready to poop, your heart rate will go up, your blood pressure will go up, and then you'll release. Then the vagus nerve just settles back down, and you go back to normal heart rate. Blood pressure comes down, and you restabilize. Well, what I had noticed is I turned on and couldn't turn off. I actually had blood pressures hitting up to 220 over 140. Even about 8 months ago, I had a stroke in my cerebellum, ended up in the hospital from these. When I mentioned it to a doctor, he more or less thought I had irrational fear of pooping. After 48 years of being alive, all of a sudden I'm scared of being on the toilet. He had to put me on an antipsychotic called Lafai. And I was thinking, all right, my neurotransmitters in check. And at the time, my dopamine was about 40, and that's quite low. And Abilify would have probably wiped out the rest of my dopamine. And I tried to tell him, so you don't think that this could be from my neck injury, the vagus nerve, and what's going on? And he said, shut up and take your medicine. Of course, I walked out of the doctor's office. He's lucky I was not a little mouthy that day, because he probably could have got an earful. But Wendy pointed out on my scan how my vagus nerve showed up. It was very much a barrel. I have a lot of problems there. And there was a lot of other things that she'll show you that I knew because I already had labs done. And this NES scan is pretty dead on.
Yeah, it's really interesting. NES has done studies that show there's an 87% correlation to what we see in the scan and what people know to be physical or, trauma issues with them. And it's really interesting in that regard. Yeah, and why don't we take a look at your scan?
That sounds great.
Yeah, let's get, and this is your second scan, and it's interesting. So if anyone's just interested, part of the correction of the issues in the scan are things called infoceuticals. They come in white bottles now. If I have one over here, but they come in, these are just liquid infoceuticals, liquid remedies. They have information imprinted on these that just send your body correct operating instructions. So it sounds kind of weird, but it's energetic. It just sends your body information. And another protocol you can do, it's a little bit more expensive, is we're going to send you one of these, Sterling. It's a My Health device, and it's something you turn on. It just sends information to your body. And that's all it does. It sends corrective information on energy waves to your body. I use this every single night. It's awesome. But yeah, why don't we take a look at your scan?
That sounds great.
Yeah, so now we're looking at Sterling's second scan. And how do we do the scan? So first we send Sterling a little mouse looking device. It's a scanner. It took you like 2 minutes to set it up, and you do a scan. And then this scan gets sent to me, and then you can just talk on the phone or do a Zoom appointment to review it. And so Sterling, so for you, the red spots here are places where you have energetic blocks. So these are your highest priority issues. And so you'll see this is the pericardium field. So it's the lining of the heart, has an energetic block. And these blocks can be caused by emotional trauma, by toxic chemicals and metals, things of that nature, EMF. The liver field is coming up. So the liver field has an energetic block. The feet, those are also on the liver meridian. So you can have a block on one part of the liver meridian, and it can negatively impact the functioning of an organ on another part on the meridian. Then you have the acoustic nerve field is coming up as blocked energetically. And then we also have the adrenals. And so, so those are not doing too hot.
I have had a lot of adrenal trauma with stress. We for a few years now. So
yeah, I know anyone following you, it's because I've been following the story on Facebook about all the stress that you've had. I mean, just really
battling with drug addiction in a family can be quite traumatic.
Yeah. And what I love about NES is how it dramatically reduces stress, or it improves your ability to handle stress. That was really huge for me. And it just, like you mentioned, it helps to reduce your anxiety, and it's helped to just help you feel more calm, Yeah.
I like it much better than having to run to the ER with a blood pressure spike and them having to give me a benzo. That's not good. Yeah,
there's better ways to address things. You don't need these heavy medications that just force your, a physical change in your body. You can encourage an energetic change in your body. Here. And so on this screen here, we're looking at this big field aligner. This has to do with grounding. So most people have to do a little bit more grounding so that their magnetism of their body matches the Earth's magnetism, so to speak.
Yeah, well, I've got to tell you, if you know, my polarity was very, very off the last one. So I've actually been listening to polarity frequencies 2 hours a day. My personal assistant's going to be really happy to know that I'm probably not going to be bugging her with them, because she was like, boy, that sounds a little irritating. Try to fix my polarity here. Looks like
it worked because your polarity is clear now.
Yeah, I need to get outside and get barefoot more.
Yeah, this was red before, and now that's cleared up. So this is big field aligner. That's an infoceutical, something here that you can see. There'll be one called BFA. And
that's the one, you're going to send me one of those.
Yeah, so that's coming, and awesome. So that just helps to ground you, basically, and just an easy way to say that. And then the next screen here are your energetic drivers, and these are all of your different organ fields. And so a lot of stuff coming up here for you. These are all the different organs, organ systems, and the energetic field that they emit. So for you, what's coming up is imprinter drivers. So actually your heart imprints information on energy waves and communicates that to your body. So the method of imprinting isn't working very well. And so when that isn't working well, your body is just not communicating well. It's not going to function well. That's a really, really important thing to address and to fix.
Okay.
Nerve drivers coming up. So when you take nerve driver, it helps to calm your nerves. You have less pain, you have less anxiety, things of that nature. That's why you started taking ED4 and you had a lot less pain in your neck. Circulation driver, this just has to do with heart and lungs and improving your circulation generally. Stomach drivers coming up. Typically when people have stomach driver come up, when there's a blockage there, that can lead to diabetes and blood sugar control issues. So
well, I had told you that we started me on the stomach driver already, because that was coming up last time as well. Notice that I started urinating a lot more, and I was wondering if it was, hey, am I just dropping my blood sugar is trying to re-regulate or something right now, maybe.
Yeah, it's possible. People have a lot of weird symptoms when things are kind of just sorting themselves out. So it's hard to say, it's hard to speculate, but yeah, people have, weird stuff that happens when they're having they start having healing reactions when they start doing that. And then you also have liver driver coming up. So liver's not doing too hot there. Liver driver is kind of interesting. It can make people kind of depressed for a couple days. That was not on your list of infoceuticals to take, but I'm sure maybe the next third or fourth time that you might be doing a liver driver. That one's intense. When I first took that one, I was in the fetal position for 2 days.
Oh, wow.
Kind of purging some stuff there. Yeah, but not everyone has that reaction, but a lot of people do.
I've been doing some dandelion root because I've actually felt a couple times where you can feel the swelling under your right rib cage there sometimes, and a little pain, and I'm like, oh man, go grab some dandelion root, grab some NAC, do something.
Yeah,
something's going on with the liver. So.
Yeah. So, and many times, people they see something in the scan, and they can correlate that to issues that they're having physically.
Yeah.
And so we're just waiting for this to load. So these EIs, these are basically your meridians. And so my daughter's really active here in the background. And so the first one here that you have, this is what I love about NES, it's very anatomically specific. So if you're looking at this, this picture here, this is the heart meridian. And so we'll see all the different physiological organ systems that are on at the heart meridian. And so for you, the sympathetic field is coming up as a 3 out of a 4. So a pretty high priority. The tongue field is coming up. So the 4 is the highest priority. So the biggest, that's where you're going to have the, largest energetic block. And then your sphincter field is coming up as a 3. Then you can zoom in here on the female organs, and the ovaries field is coming up as a 3. Uterus muscles coming up as a 3. Sorry if you don't want to reveal that to the world.
Oh, that's okay. And by the way, my uterus was removed at 29. I wish I what I know now back then, I would still have a uterus.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's many times the certain internal organs can come up on a scan because there's a lot of scar tissue there. So it'll come
Yeah,
up as blocked because the scar tissue is blocking, actually physically
yeah.
blocking information. So the midbrain is coming up as a 3, the speech center field coming up as a 3. And then the next area here is coming up as a priority in the scan, signifying it being red, is the stomach meridian. And so for you, if you zoom into the stomach, so the esophagus field is a 4.
Oh, yeah. Well, talking about the injury I have here, I had a lot of injury to the esophagus too.
Okay, yeah.
So, and that's pretty interesting. I had some injury to my esophagus. I
Yes.
had paralysis there on the left side.
Mm. Yeah, so that's coming up. The scan always picks everything up. And so the next thing here is the mind field, which is what I really love about NES, is its ability to release emotional trauma, identify the types of emotional trauma that you have, and then release it. And that's one of the most effective things. It's one of the things it's most effective at, and why people generally start feeling better and better and better emotionally. They start sleeping better. And you might have noticed you started having more lucid dreams. Usually in the first 30 days of doing this is really true for me. You start sleeping better. You have deeper sleep, so you start having much more, vivid dreams. And when the vivid dreams is where you're processing and purging emotional trauma.
Well, I noticed this area looks a little bit better than the first time, I believe. And
so this was coming up. The cerebral cortex hologram is coming up for you. So this is yeah, so danger. So it's a 3 out of 4, and this affects the cranial nerves. So when someone has had a past emotional shock or trauma, feeling like they're in great danger or afraid, there's a physical or emotional threat that can create a block in their cranial nerves. There's 12 cranial nerves, and people can have TMJ or other types of nerve issues. And when you release that, what happens? Pain related to TMJ or other types of pain related to the cranial nerves can subside. And we know that physical or like emotional issues can cause physical pain, can cause health issues. And how do you resolve that with functional medicine or with
you actually can't sometimes. I actually was talking to a friend yesterday that I know that a lot of her illness is coming from emotional trauma, and I told her, I said, being a person who has experienced, I've had PTSD from a lot of emotional trauma as a child. I told her, I said, do some meditation, and I said at night for 10 minutes, not right before you go to bed, but a couple hours before you go to bed, just put your face in a pillow and scream, let things out. Sometimes you have to let things out some ways.
Yeah, you do. And it's interesting because there's a lot of...
I feel better sometimes. That pain goes away.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of things we're conscious of. You're conscious that you're stressed and you want to scream into a pillow or go for a jog or whatever you're going to do. But there's a lot of trauma we're not consciously aware of, like things that happen to us when we're babies or child, or maybe happen when we're sleeping or whatever. We don't think something's bothering us when it actually still is. And the scan can identify that and resolve it very simply by drinking water. It seems weird, but it's very, very effective. And so for you,
I would like to bring something up to you is that when I actually got into my accident and, there was a witness, they said my head went into the utility pole. I didn't come out my seatbelt. In fact, they had dome lights on the ceiling, and then my head went up into the dome light, and that's where I fractured it. My head went into a utility pole, and then bam, and George right back. And they said the whole time I was awake, but I couldn't tell them my name or anything. And for 8 hours, I didn't even know who I was. And that might be some of the trauma that I have bottled up. I have no recollection of that 8 hours of being awake. They said the whole time I was awake that whole 8 hours.
Wow.
It took them over an hour and a half to cut me out my car, and they said I was awake the whole time, but I have no memory of it. So the brain will shut down when you're in severe trauma and store it somewhere. That could be where some of this is coming from too as well, right?
And people have trauma too from having surgeries and having chronic pain. There's all kinds of traumas that people suffer
Yeah.
that need to be resolved and released. And talk therapy doesn't always do it. You know,
No, it doesn't.
I've had 10 years of talk therapy. So you reach a
I've
kind of
had
a
a lot.
point of a threshold where you're like, this is not working anymore.
Yeah.
And you need something a little bit, next level. And for me, that's NES.
Yeah. Well, what they diagnosed me with back then, that 8 hours of time that I lost, was traumatic amnesia.
Mm.
My brain turned off because it was so traumatizing. So that could be part of still what is bothering me.
Yeah. I mean, you've had a lot of traumas and stress,
Yeah.
for years. And so here, what's affecting your adrenals is what's called direction. So a trauma or shock involving moving in the wrong direction, either physically taking a wrong turn or making a wrong decision. And that had shocking consequences for you. And that can manifest in the adrenals and affect adrenal and hormonal functioning as a result of that.
Yeah. There was one point in my life I took a very wrong direction.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah, and then the feet here, there's a blockage there, is moving forwards. So it's a feeling of not budging, not letting go. It's a trauma involving flexibility. It can be maybe physically the body became rigid and couldn't move, or it can be a situation that arose being frightened, rigid and could not move. It could be feeling that, cell change cannot happen, because this would involve being adaptable and a fear of what this would mean, stubbornness. So maybe something's preventing you from moving forwards in your life.
yeah.
And then some of the other ones here for the heart, trauma or shock against the heart. This could be like a physical or mental blow to the heart. It could be a medical heart condition, or being told that, or being emotionally broken by another person.
I think it would probably be more emotional for me.
Yeah, and that's why your pericardium showed up on the first scan, where there's an energetic block there from an emotional trauma.
Yeah.
And then the next screen here is the brainstem hologram. So number 4 is nourishment. That's in the liver. So a shock or trauma involving food can literally be starving from lack of food or inability to digest food. And it can be about withholding from eating, or it can be about, hey, Winter, could be quiet a little bit? And so our fear of not having food. It can be like an eating disorder as well. And so
I actually, in my younger years, I did go through that. And there was a point in time in my 30s where, believe it or not, I lived off of, guys, we're not all perfect. We make mistakes. We go through a lot of issues. 3 crackers a day for 90 days plus water.
wow. Yeah, it's interesting. I have suffered from an eating disorder, from bulimia, majority of my life, and it would just come out in times of stress. And because when I started doing NES, and because it helped me deal with stress so much better, I've had 1 or 2 episodes in the year and a half I've been doing NES, but it's nothing like it was before. And it was something I just couldn't get a hold of, a control of, for whatever reason. And with NES, it's just gone.
It can be hard because I remember when I was younger, boy, I'm a good-looking young woman. At 20 years old, I could stop traffic. I would wear a size 3 bikini bottom and a size 16 bikini top. And then I broke my neck, and I would ride my bike 17 miles a day, 3 times a week, wake up in the morning, do 250 sit-ups a day, take the kids camping on the weekends. I was a young mother. And then at 20, right before being 25, I broke my neck. Everything changed, and then laid in bed, and I started ordering pizzas instead of cooking good food and stuff. And then I remember then it was, oh God, everybody's looking at me. I'm fat. Now I'm not the same. I was more of a material person back then, which I'm not anymore. And that's when I started going through hey, this isn't too bad. After about 3 or 4 days, the starving feeling goes away.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I went through the emotional part of, trying to starve myself to lose weight. And that's not the right way to do it, by the way. I really screwed up my metabolism very bad when I did that.
Yeah. And there's a lot of women out there that are, really killing themselves, dying to be thin. And there's a
Yeah,
lot of trauma around that, self-esteem issues and other things around doing that. And for me, NES helped me address those issues. It just did.
that's right.
And so, and this is a really interesting scan, like part of the NES Health scan. This was developed by Dr. Hamer, and he did about 400,000 CT scans, and he worked with 60,000 cancer patients to, about 60,000 cancer patients, and what their emotional traumas were, and correlated those to the issues in the scan. And essentially, that's the result. That's what we're seeing here. And here we see the nutrition screen, and we see that you have an inability to absorb or utilize potassium. So it can be a deficiency if this keeps coming up over and over and over.
Yeah, this is a huge thing, and I've talked to many practitioners about this. We notice I can't eat cabbage. If I eat cabbage, it completely depletes my potassium. Also, MSM, I cannot do MSM. When I do MSM, it completely depletes my potassium. And I am actually taking something to keep potassium up really high, and it still will come low. And it's the more sulfur I eat, the more potassium gets eaten. Maybe I just need a lot more potassium than the next person. I don't know.
Well, it's also, a lot of people have potassium issues because of thallium toxicity. Thallium and cesium block potassium.
Well, and we talked about that. I have thallium and cesium toxicity. I'm no longer doing kale. Gotten away from the broccoli and cauliflower. I've changed to turnip greens, and I'm doing Brussels sprouts and asparagus right now. My greens, and I'm kind of hoping that maybe that thallium and cesium will kind of.
Yeah, a lot of people have potassium issues because of thallium and cesium. We breathe in thallium, and then your sodium field there's some issues there. That could be related to adrenal functioning, because the adrenals regulate potassium and sodium to a certain degree.
Sodium, yeah.
And their iron, maybe a little inability to deal with iron or utilize it.
I have a hereditary hemochromatosis H63D mutation, so I'm the 1 out of 5 that we have trouble assimilating iron.
Yes, and so that's coming up here on the scan, and the B2 is coming up as well.
Yeah, that's what I noticed, and knowing what I know about biochemistry, I said, I wonder when she does a scan this time if my B2 is going to come up as an issue, because I haven't over about 6 months had any little hive here or there or itching, and I noticed I was getting kind of hivey and itchy, and I said, I bet you something's going on with my B2 activity again. Mm-hmm. So I think I need to grab some riboflavin 5-phosphate tonight.
Yes. Yeah, and the scan, it always picks stuff up. I mean, you did a scan yesterday, and it always picks
to assimilate histamine.
Yes, Yeah, and then your ED8, your stomach driver's coming up, and when you start taking this, you're going to start digesting food better. And what I found just working with a number of clients doing NES is that it improves your digestion. And I do hair mineral analysis and other tests. We see their minerals all come up because they're just absorbing nutrients better, whether it's reduction of stress or the repair of the digestive tract in various ways. It's really interesting, but I see it consistently.
Yeah. Now let me ask you, do you sometimes see some people pretty bad?
Yes.
Probably people with Crohn's, ulcerative colitis, they're probably really bad up in here, right?
Yeah, I haven't personally seen any clients that have severe digestive issues of that nature. But I have had people with just a number of health diagnoses, really a lot of food sensitivities, able to restore eating various foods that they were sensitive to prior.
Yeah.
But I haven't personally, but I have heard of people with severe digestive issues recovering doing this, but I just haven't personally worked with any. But I know Harry Massey, he had I believe it was Crohn's, and he was able to recover from that, where he still can't eat gluten, but he doesn't have these severe reactions like he used to.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure if it's Crohn's. It was one of the major, digestive issues. I forget which
Yeah.
one exactly. And then carbohydrates, showing your carbohydrates aren't, you're not metabolizing those very well. And the next one is glucose metabolism, not doing that so hot, not addressing that very well.
I guess what B2 is also a sugar too, as well. People don't realize that. I wonder if I should throw in some more magnesium tonight and some chromium, maybe, and a little berberine and olive leaf.
Yes. Yes. And so the next one here is the environment screen.
Mhm.
And on this one, you see EMF. You're not handling that very well. So a lot of people don't handle EMF, but some people are
Yeah,
particularly sensitive to it.
yeah. And now I know the last time it didn't come up too much. I think it was more, but now it's coming up quite a bit more now. And I want to check to make sure they haven't turned back on 5G in our neighborhood. They had turned it off for a while. And New Orleans was one of the first cities to get 5G, by the way. So
And they're doing it in Austin too.
yeah, it's pretty bad. So I think I'm going to go and get one of those big frequency devices to protect my home.
Yeah, I found that with NES Health, I found that I live in Los Angeles, central LA, and I found that when I started doing it, I think I was a lot more sensitive to EMF than I realized. And when I started taking the BFA and I started doing the My Health, there's settings on here for EMF that protect your body's energy field, that it really dramatically helped me
Yeah.
feel a lot better, because my energy field, my body's ability to communicate wasn't so impacted by that.
Yeah.
And so it can help protect your body. But it's interesting how the scan shows different types of EMFs like microwaves, computer EMFs, cell phone, radio waves, and blue
Well,
light
it's
as well.
probably the smart meter is the one that's big red from.
Yeah.
Smart meter right on this wall over here.
Mm.
And 12 feet on the other side. This is a neighborhood where the houses are kind of close together, about 12, 14 feet. That his smart meter's pinging at me. And then the guy on the other side over here, the smart meter's directed toward.
Oh, God.
So, and they will not let us opt out here.
Yeah, that it's just
We have actually somebody here that's fighting it. He's already took it to federal court in Orleans Parish. So he's fighting it for us.
And that you're in the same boat as a lot of people. I have a lot of people I know that reached out to me when I've done articles about EMF or podcasts. They have the same thing. They can't opt out. So you have to do something. And so this is one thing you can do. It's not the whole solution. I mean, you can sleep in a Faraday tent, but this helps a lot. It can help you cope. And
yeah, they're busting through the Faraday tents now too. It's and actually the smart meters we have, they said these are the worst of the worst, the ones that are here. And I actually have a right up over here. I have a little trimeter where I quite often measure the levels of radiation. I must wonder at the time I was doing this if they were pulsating through my house. I actually catch certain times of the day they pulsate. They love pulsating at 10 a.m. in the morning. So from my reading being like 0.08, and then right at around 10 a.m., I'll get readings in here that are 49.5 from 0.08 to 49.5. That's huge spike in radiation. They actually pulsate at certain times during the day with these smart meters as well. Scary.
Yeah, and it's just going to get worse and worse and worse. And the reason EMFs make you sick is because it interferes in your body's ability to communicate and send operating instructions and messages, healing messages. That's why it makes you sick.
It shunts the calcium really big time, and that's what everybody is having problems with right now is calcium disruption. We're having this calcium oxalate disruption. It's sulfation, and it's coming from fluoroquinolones. It's coming from glyphosate that shunts into calcium crystal oxalate. It's coming from just so many things. The EMF, smart meters, big time. 5G is going to make it worse too.
Yeah, I think we're going to see a lot more sick people. So you have to do certain things to protect yourself. And this is one, it's not the 100% solution, but it can be part of it. And this screen also shows solvents, heavy metals, and insecticides and other types of toxins, because these dramatically impact your body's, can cause energy blocks and impact your body's ability to communicate. So for you, the nitrotoluenes are coming up as bothering you. And it's a solvent used in the manufacture of dyes. For you, none of the heavy metals are really bothering you on the scan, but that can change. There's an infoceutical just for heavy metals called ES15, and you don't want to take that to start out, but it's something you can take to heavy metals come up as a big problem for you. That infoceutical can help you detox. And then insecticide alethrin is bothering you, and then asbestos is coming up.
And you know, that was red the last time. That keeps on coming up red on me. I'm wondering if I've ever kind of been impacted by asbestos. I know many of us have. Huh?
Oh, yeah, I mean, I had removed. There was like underneath my old house, I had asbestos fittings underneath the pipes, and I had to pay like $4,000 to have those removed, and had the big suction. But I doubt it got everything. But it's in a lot of people's older homes, you know.
Yeah. Well, this home's kind of new. It had to be totally rebuilt from the ground up after Katrina. So
Good. Yeah, and so that's pretty much the gist of the scan. There's other items on the scan. There's a lot of information. We won't go over it for time purposes. A lot of information, a lot of stuff that you can correct on the scan. And you know, another interesting thing I forgot to mention, it shows your chakras. So you can see all of your chakras here, and anything that's out of balance. It's really, really neat. But that's pretty much it.
I'm having problems trusting.
Yes. Some people have too much willpower, and it can throw them out of balance. You know, I feel like for you, you're trying to help people.
Yeah, I think mine, I get a little too much and I feel off balance right now from it. I don't want to ever turn anybody away, but then sometimes it impacts me too in my health because I don't take time for me.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. I mean, I work, 14 hours a day, and I work, occasionally I take a day off, but it's intense. I mean, it's just, there's a lot of people out there that need help, and it definitely takes its toll on me. I'm very sensitive. And
I normally go to bed when the sun goes down and wake up very early in the morning. So like about 4:15, 4:30, I'm awake, and then 5 a.m. I'm at work.
Yeah, I mean, I use go to bed at 10.
I believe in that circadian rhythm.
Yes.
Try to get to sleep. Sun comes up, get your butt up. And keep it healthier.
Yes.
People believe in that. It can, I have enough against me. I try to at least keep that one going for me.
Well, yeah. Well, thank you for taking the time to go over your scan, Sterling. And I know that this is really, really interesting. I know a lot of people are, kind of, maybe a lot of information, but I really encourage people to try their own NES scan. It's not terribly expensive. You can do it at home. It's really, really easy to do. It's the protocol. You do it once a day. You usually get 4 bottles of this and put it in some, water once a day. That's it. I mean, it couldn't be simpler. And this My Health Divide, something you can do. It's expensive. It's a little more advanced. This you do 8 minutes a day. I do more. I do all kinds of stuff with this. But
I'm very excited to see how that works, the frequencies. I love playing with frequencies.
Yes.
Actually, I do that just for my 5 dogs. I play frequencies throughout the day in the living room with them.
Yeah, and you can do scans on your dogs too. I do scans on my dogs.
Awesome.
I do all kinds of stuff with them. Yeah, so there'll be links below if you guys. Yeah, if you guys want to try a NES Health program, we have like 4 practitioners that work for us. We also have a veterinarian. So you can click on the links below and go to myersdetox.com and go into our store.myersdetox.com. You can search for NES scanner, and then you'll come see the item where you can get started with your own NES Health program. It's very, very easy, and I encourage people to do it, especially if you're very, very ill and you've been through tons of doctors and you've been having multiple health diagnoses and you really haven't been successful in finding something that works for you. And you're suffering, I encourage you to address your issues on the bioenergetic level, because you really need to be doing that to address physical functioning. And I think it's a very simple, elegant, effective way to address your health issues. And so thanks for taking the time to listen to this. And thank you so much for listening. And I'm Wendy Myers of MyersDetox.com.
And thank you, Wendy, for helping me. You're changing my life for the better.
Yeah, it's my pleasure.
Okay.